Okay, here we go.
Okay,
So this is our first ever video. I'm pretty excited.
me too.
I got some notes down for Godzilla 2014.
I'm currently writing some notes,
Okay. What do you got
looking
so
at all the.
far?
Uh, I have some notes about the end and what I thought, specifically with everyone's thoughts on Godzilla in the world at the end.
Nice.
Um, and then I'm currently listing the characters so that I remember who they are.
Nice. Well, I just have a bunch of notes. I kind of took notes as the movie went
I should
along.
have.
So maybe I'll just say what I go through each thing and then maybe you'll probably remember
Yeah, I will.
as we go.
I watched it, I think Monday. Wait, no, today's Tuesday, Thursday. I don't know. Sometime this week I watched it.
Well, I kind of watched pieces of it throughout the week,
Oh, okay.
which was kind of fun. And
Yeah,
yeah, it kind of made me notice some things. But so I've seen a bunch of Godzilla movies,
right.
and I just saw the newest one in the theater. And so
Yeah,
that one's fun because it's just like a monster mash, you
right.
know? But
Is
this
that
one,
like, is the new one Kong and,
yeah,
oh, okay, it's Kong
yeah.
and
So
Godzilla?
Godzilla
Okay.
X Kong,
Oh, okay.
not verse, together.
Oh, okay.
So so it's so that one's funny because it's just a monster mash. And then
Right.
which is fun because a lot of the
Yeah.
old Godzilla movies are monster mashes as well.
Yeah.
So when you go, and especially when you watch the trailer for the newest one, you're like, okay, I'm here for a monster
Mm-hmm.
mash.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about the Godzilla 2014 one is you go in and immediately it feels different.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, they're taking this seriously.
Yeah. That's
You know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the beginning. Because I think the first scene, right, was when they discovered um the dead one underground. Do you remember that?
I don't remember exactly what the first opening scene
Okay.
was.
Well, I think yeah, they discovered, I think it was the scientist who's later in it. Scientist, what's his name? The main one.
Oh, Serizawa.
Doc, yeah, Sarazawa. Sawa?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Serizawa, that's the
yeah,
name
him.
from the first movie.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it technically could be a sequel to the very, very first original Godzilla,
oh, okay.
but there's also so many sequels to that movie that
Yeah,
wouldn't line up with this one.
yeah.
So it can only be a sequel to the very first one,
Okay. Not everything in between.
pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because in all the old ones, everyone knows about Godzilla, like the whole
right.
world at this point, because
Yeah,
it, he's all over the world and there's so many monsters all over the world.
right.
Which is how it ends up being at the end of this New Age series.
Yeah. But at the beginning, it looks like it's been hidden for years.
Yeah, because in the
Right.
very first Godzilla,
Hmm.
can't remember uh exactly, but I know that they hit it up. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Another interesting thing about the old one versus the new one is there's a part in the movie where in this new one, they say in the 2014, they say, remember all those nuclear bombs?
Yeah, the
Those were
testing of the
trying to
nuclear
kill
bombs.
him. They were trying
Hmm.
to kill Godzilla.
Right.
Well, it's funny because in the old ones, they say, all those nuclear tests?
Hmm.
That's what awakened Godzilla.
Oh,
So it's funny. And I think it's because it's American versus the
hmm.
Japanese version.
Right.
Because these Americans are like, we were trying to kill it. You know, the Japanese are
Yeah.
like, you guys awoke Godzilla.
You guys-
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, which is funny.
Hmm. Yeah. I think
But there,
we didn't even discover the testing thing or the aspect of it until a ways into the movie. The dad
yeah,
had to die first, right?
yeah, that was like halfway through.
Bro Joe Brody, I think is his name.
Hmm.
Yeah. He had to die first before we discovered all that. So it took a while.
Is that his name? The dad?
Yeah. It says scientist Joe Brody.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just know him as Bryan Cranston,
Right.
and that's what I was calling him the whole time.
Hmm.
And it's funny because I did see this movie kind of when it came out back in the day when it came
Yeah,
out.
I've seen it forever ago as well.
Yeah, I didn't know who
Yeah.
he was, but now watching it again, I know who Bryan Cranston was.
What else is he in? Because I know,
He's in
let
a
me
lot
see
of
right
stuff.
now.
I've only seen him in Breaking Bad,
Oh yeah.
and then that was the first time I seen him. And then every now and then, when I look at TVs on in restaurants, he's always
Yeah.
on something.
Yeah.
But
Kung Fu Panda. He voices someone.
oh, nice. Yeah, he's everywhere, but I never knew he was everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just funny. There
Um,
was
Keep going.
there was two scenes that stood out. One was at the very beginning,
Yeah.
was like the scene where his wife dies at the beginning,
Yeah.
and he screams and has to close the door.
Right. And then he sees her as it's closing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought that part was a little bit overkill, no pun intended. But the rest of
Uh,
that scene was pretty awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. And I
Where
thought it
she was
was,
like, take care of our son or
yeah.
something. Be
And
a
then
good dad.
it goes over to and shows the sun like looking at the explosions.
Yeah.
Which with that part, I thought it was pretty interesting because they didn't show a time jump.
Yeah.
They weren't like 20 years later, you know,
Yeah.
which
It
was
just kind of transitioned out from the kid looking at the explosions to
mhm.
here he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which it took me a little bit. I didn't realize
Oh yeah.
until later.
Gotcha.
Maybe I wasn't watching as closely, but it took me a little bit. But
Uh-huh.
I thought it was probably a better choice not to put the 20 years later.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting how uh like we mentioned with that scene with the mom, how the mom said, take care of our son, right? Be a good dad. And then it does that jump. And after like 5 minutes, you understand he wasn't really that good of a dad.
Oh,
You kind
that's
of get
funny.
that because I mean, the first thing he does is get mad that his dad is in jail, that constantly has to take care of him, that he's stuck on in the past and stuck on this conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So I thought
true.
that was interesting because I mean, normally when something like that happens, especially in movies, they like are super good because they remember their wife's last words or something. But
Hmm.
he just wanted to prove that it
Yeah,
wasn't an accident that she died.
yeah. And he kind of got to redeem himself, but not really.
Nah, no, he just kind of died.
Yeah, which was kind of
Yeah,
surprising.
yeah,
Which
I agree.
yeah, um, that's actually my next note
Yeah.
is when when he was dying
Hmm.
and his son is talking to him. His son
Hmm.
takes the breathalyzer mask off of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's dying.
yeah. Takes the
Yeah.
mask off.
I even during that though, I didn't think about it in the moment because I was like, oh, he's gonna live. Like I didn't think
Yeah,
there was not really an indication that he was going to die because we
yeah,
saw earlier that he got, I think the monster hit something and he fell with it or something and it looked like he died. So I think in that moment, I kind of was like, oh, okay, he died from the monster. And then they find him and he's in an ambulance, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's gonna be fine.
Hmm.
And then even right up until like 15 seconds before he dies, I still have I'm still thinking he's fine.
Yeah, me too. Even after
Yeah.
he was dead, I still thought he was fine
Yeah.
until the son said he's gone, and I was like,
Right.
oh, he's probably
I was
gonna
like,
show up somewhere. He's probably gonna
yeah,
be alive.
yeah.
which 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 was funny because this is where I took a pause and then I watched some more later,
Yeah.
and I was getting back into it, and I was loving it so far.
Hmm.
And then I was after I got started watching the second half,
Hmm.
I thought, well, maybe it's just because I haven't watched it all at once, so
Yeah.
I'm thinking that this isn't as good. But
Yeah.
I think it was actually because Bryan Cranston was gone
Yeah.
that because he brings a lot of energy,
It's true. Yeah.
brings a lot of intensity.
Hmm.
Like we need to figure this out.
Yeah.
I was right.
Hmm. Hmm.
And up until that, pretty much to the halfway point, there's not much more dialogue. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
that's true.
lots of staring and looking,
Yeah.
but still good.
Yeah. It is good. I do kind of wish he was at least alive for longer so that we could have seen that aspect more because it was just kind of his son running,
Yeah.
and not like I was right. Here's the scientific aspects, which obviously we get from Sarazawa,
Hmm.
but it's not the same
Yeah.
as from Bryan Cranston, right?
Yeah.
So I wish he had stayed. He could have died. I think it would have been fine and would have been good, but he should have, I think, been alive for longer and
Yeah.
further into the story and died somewhere that was more important and impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he definitely brought a lot to it, and
yeah,
then it's kind of missing after that.
right.
So,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
um,
I think after he dies, they also just kind of move on too.
yeah,
Like they just ask
he's
a few
gone.
questions, and then the son is like, "Oh no, he's dead," and then he starts going home or trying to,
Yeah.
and that's it. He
Um,
doesn't even like take interest in what his father died for, really.
yeah.
He just kind of answers the questions and then he's like, "Okay, I'm out." You know,
Yeah. Well, maybe he
yeah,
did, but there wasn't someone there to voice it.
that's
Like
true.
there wasn't any more dialogue after that during the
Right.
movie. It was just,
Just like,
you
we're
know,
gonna send you to Hawaii and then you'll get on a commercial flight from there.
yeah.
Yeah,
And he just does the actions.
right.
So I mentioned one awesome scene, which was at the beginning,
Hmm.
the first death scene. Then the second scene where I was like, that
Hmm.
was awesome,
Yeah.
was when we had Elizabeth Olsen on the ground in
Uh-huh.
the city. All the power goes out, and and they're like, "What's happened?" They're kind of looking around, and then she looks up and she sees a guy parachuting down.
Oh
She's
yeah.
like, "What's that? What's that?"
Yeah.
And then plane crash
Yeah.
right behind him,
And
and then
suddenly it
it
starts
cuts,
raining fire jets.
and then it cuts over, yeah, to a bunch of planes falling down, people
Hmm.
parachuting out. That was
Hmm.
sick.
That was really awesome.
Yeah,
Because you too, you're like, what is going on? And then
yeah.
suddenly, bam,
I was like,
chaos.
yeah. For a split
Yeah.
second, I was like, is that her husband parachuting down to her?
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
I thought she did really good. Elizabeth Olsen.
Mhm.
What was her name? I think Elle. Yeah, Elle. I mean, she wasn't in it very much. I kind of wish she was in it more. Um, because she was really good at just, I guess, relaying everything that was going on just in the city normally and
Mhm.
being a mom with a kid and what do I do? Like it felt like someone the more normal aspect of what would happen if there was a Godzilla monsters going around,
Yeah,
right?
that's really interesting. Yeah, and the fact that they had both sides, or at least the fact that they had a person who we knew around
Hmm.
the chaos was always a good choice. In the older ones, it was harder to do that because it's just harder to film that sort of
Right.
thing. You know, it's
Right.
just kind of had little people running, but they had a person connected to each place that was going
Right.
on. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because they had Elizabeth Olsen in the normal city. They had what's his name, Lieutenant Ford with the monsters all the time, and then they also had the scientist Sarazawa with the military and what's going on there.
mhm,
Right? They were able to film every single aspect. I honestly don't know what other. There wasn't like a whole, really. Some of them could have been more complete, but it showed every aspect.
mhm,
And yeah.
yeah. Another thing about this one,
Uh-huh.
I love watching people get smushed and crunched. Um, I think in the newest one, they didn't really show that a lot. You know,
Uh-huh.
Godzilla X Kong. It's just a lot of buildings.
Right.
You know, but
Hmm.
this one, I love it when they get stomped on.
Yeah.
You know, it's the best. Or when the tsunami comes, people
Yeah.
just ruthless.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was. There was
Oh,
some that I think there was a scene where they're in the Tusami scene, or tsunami scene. Uh, it focused on some, I think it was a family, I forget, but they went inside of a building that had
oh
when the
yeah,
tsunami was coming, and then it was all glass windows and doors, and it
that
was
tsunami.
fine.
Yeah, that building was
Yeah,
great.
I was just so yeah, I was so that's the only part that I was like pretty sure that would all be destroyed, not just like leaking a little bit of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
that wasn't a big part. It was just funny.
yeah. The tsunami was cool.
Hmm.
Another reason the tsunami was cool is because I haven't seen it in another Godzilla movie,
Yeah,
and it made sense that there would be one, you know,
right.
if he
Because
just
he's
stood out of the
huge.
water,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I don't remember that one in another
Hmm.
Godzilla movie.
Yeah. I don't know the science behind it exactly, but I assume there would be some pretty big impacts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of crushed bodies,
Hmm.
there wasn't any when they're walking through the city. You know,
Yeah.
they're just like
Oh, yeah.
they're panning through, and then there was a bunch of destruction. In my mind, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Where's the bodies?" That's
Right.
just me,
Yeah.
which
No, that would make it more
fine because it's
realistic. There should be
PG-13.
people dead. Yeah.
Yeah,
Even still, I think PG-13 you probably don't have to show it, but there could be like outlines or something.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I did like that final end battle scene,
Hmm.
especially the colors. You know,
Yeah.
because it was like black, white, and red.
Hmm.
That was the three things, and it made it look really apocalyptic. You know, they had
Yeah.
they were when they were going flying down.
Hmm.
I think they
With
had
the
like red lights
flares.
on them. Yeah,
They had some flares, yeah.
and then when there was a pan up from the city. There was
Hmm.
this like Chinese restaurant
Right.
balls that were red.
Hmm.
So just like it made it feel really apocalyptic. That's the way I
Hmm.
was describing it when I was watching.
Yeah, I really liked it. And I think too with that, it wasn't too dark at the same time. Like you could still see. I know sometimes with the like these how do you say the word apocalyptic
Yeah,
films, right? Sometimes it's too dark in the moment and scene, and you're just like squinting trying to
yeah,
watch. But it still had those themes, but you could also see like what was going on.
yeah. I know that's one of my pet peeves is action scenes in the dark
Right.
because all it is just action scenes with a little bit easier CGI,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
But that wasn't what this was
Yeah.
because the CGI looked great.
Right. It looked real the
Yeah,
whole time.
yeah.
There wasn't a moment where I was like, that foot doesn't look right.
He definitely looked more dinosaur-y when he had that big
Yeah.
roar and his body
Yeah.
wiggled.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah. It was really good.
the way his body
And
wiggled was pretty awesome.
yeah. And even when he like breathed, it wasn't fire, but it was, I don't know what it was,
It's the
but
Godzilla
the
breath.
blue, yeah, whatever
It's
it is,
nuke breath, pretty much.
nuke breath. Okay. But when that happened, like it looked real, it looked legit, like it worked with him. It wasn't like, what is that? Except for the fact that I just questioned what was it. But
Yeah. And that was the third awesome scene, you know.
hmm
The scene at
hmm
the start with his wife, the scene in the middle with the planes, and then
hmm
the scene at the end where he mouth breathes
yeah, into him.
into him.
That's pretty sick.
That-
hmm
yeah. I said out loud, heck yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
when I saw that.
yeah. No, me too. It made me happy. It's an interesting dynamic because the film makes you. I didn't really know. The only Godzilla I had seen was the one I think I talked to you about, like Grandpa. I watched with Grandpa like when I was like 8.
Mhm.
And I probably shouldn't have been watching it, right? But it was. I just remember it being scary, and I had dreams about Godzilla,
Oh,
like
nice.
nightmares, right?
That's funny.
So, but it's totally different than what I thought it was going to be because I thought like not that I didn't think I'd be rooting for Godzilla,
Hmm.
you know. I thought that it would just be a few monsters and they're fighting each other and both are bad. I don't know. And they're just trying to stop them. Um, but the idea was, I think you need to let Godzilla fight these two monsters, otherwise, uh, like we can't stop them. I think that was the point that Dr. Sarazawa made, right? You can't nuke them; it won't kill them. You need to let them fight. Let them fight.
Hmm.
You know that one part, uh, which is not a dynamic I thought, and I think that's what made that third scene so good. Is you're not just watching two monsters fight; you're like actually rooting for Godzilla to win
Hmm.
because he's supposed to be kind of the savior, I
Yeah.
guess, uh
Okay.
which is not what I expected. And I thought it was good because it gave a purpose behind the fight, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Well, I think that's an interesting choice,
Uh-huh.
and as it's I think it's a fine choice, and it's a fine
Uh-huh.
choice because they made it on purpose,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Because then there's other movies of Godzilla
Mhm.
where it's on purpose we're gonna make this guy evil,
Yeah.
you know? And so you need to watch the Godzilla minus one.
Okay.
In that one, all he is a big bully,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's the greatest thing ever. So I personally like
Okay.
that one better.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, that's I was almost going to say as well that the thing that I mentioned earlier about what I thought about Godzilla at the end is he was supposed to be the savior, but that still didn't feel completely realistic to me
Yes.
because I think the TV screen at the very end said Godzilla, savior of our city,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, well, no, I don't think anybody would react that way in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, I would just think, wow, look at this whole city completely demolished, right? I don't, I think 99% of people would not look at Godzilla after that fight and think, wow, you're awesome. Thanks for saving us. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like the Avengers.
right,
They all hate him.
right.
Um, yeah, I wonder how it is with the next movies in the series because actually I've only
Yeah,
seen in this series I've only seen this one and then Godzilla X Kong.
right. Gotcha. So we'll have to, I think the next one is the Kong one, right?
I'm not sure.
I think so. I looked it up at some point. I think it's just the one about Kong. I don't think Godzilla is even in it until the third one or something. I think it goes Godzilla, Kong, and then the one where they're both in it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, here's my idea.
Okay.
That was fun. I have one more thought, but maybe we
Uh-huh.
can make this into two videos.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do one where we just talked about that movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then one where it's kind of off topic, but just like we could talk about the structure the structure of a Godzilla movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sound good?
Yeah, that works. Like, you mean like how
Well,
it's set up and like
okay.
the scenes and whatnot?
Well, let me explain.
Okay.
So after watching so many Godzilla movies
Mm-hmm.
and looking at the different structure of them, here's what I've come to find.
Uh-huh.
There's two different types of Godzilla movies.
Okay.
There's the disaster one. It's either a disaster movie
Uh-huh.
or a heist movie. You know, so in a disaster movie, all you have is think of like Gravity, the movie
Yeah.
Gravity, where it's just event after event after event. Bad things happen. Bad things happen. We run, we run.
Yeah.
Oh no. Um, and or at least there's different parts in a Godzilla movie where that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so when they treat the Godzilla movie like a disaster movie, I think it's a little bit worse. But when they treat a Godzilla movie like a heist movie, it works better. So
Okay.
so like if you think of a heist movie, hmm, says we have 9 minutes left, 10 minutes left to record,
Okay.
which is good. So if you think of a heist movie, basically a heist movie goes like this: you find out the problem, find out the thing that you want to
Mm-hmm.
get, right? And then
Yeah.
you form a team to get the thing done. And everyone has these skills. You form a team, you know? Then you form a plan, and then you execute the plan. And the plan either goes according to what you planned, or it doesn't, or you use the skills that you learned in a different way that you imagined to defeat the boss.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, maybe it's hard to explain because let me think.
No, I kind of get it
Yeah, so
because
thinking of this one that you watched, Godzilla 2014.
yeah.
Um, I think that's another reason why, like halfway through,
Mm-hmm.
it's changed its vibe, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Partly because Bryan Cranston was gone, but also partly because he was like the team member builder. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So like he's got all this info and he's like, we are gonna go and find out what this is and take it down, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so he's going in to um he goes into the city to find out what he needs. He grabs his son along the way, the military guy, and
Right.
then he meets the science guy, and then they form this plan to attack it with a nuke, right?
Right.
Which wouldn't have worked,
Mm-hmm.
but that could have been kept going that direction, you
Yeah.
know, kept going that direction and saying, okay, nuke didn't work, but hey, we have all these other things along the way, like we have Sarazawa's knowledge and we have the military knowledge to take down this thing.
Right.
This one's a little bit different because it had multiple monsters,
Yeah.
but instead Bryan Cranston died and then Sarazawa never really met up with the military guy.
Yeah.
So then it turned into a disaster movie after that,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
instead of a team build up heist movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, then I feel like they kind of tried to switch back to heist mode, but it was too late and too little. It was just military guys trying to bring this nuke
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, they wanted the nuke and then they didn't
Hmm.
want it. And
Right.
then I thought he wanted it again because I thought he was looking at the eggs and thinking, okay, well, maybe we do need the nuke,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then he just set him on fire instead.
right.
Right.
Yeah. So I felt almost like they were switching back and forth. I couldn't decide.
Mm.
But I do know what you're saying about what kind of like the structure stuff.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, that wasn't very long. Maybe we'll just keep that in the same video.
Yeah. We can do that.
Nice.
Um, could you hear things in the background? Next time I'll
Oh,
close the window. Oh no?
I think
Okay.
maybe every once in a while, but it wasn't bad.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Next, I mean, I'll be in Arizona a little over a week, like permanently, or probably permanently. So,
Sounds fun.
uh,
Well, maybe I'll send this video to you
okay.
if you want to watch it. You can see what it's like, see what we
Yeah.
can do, and if we want to post it, we can.
Mhm.
And here's what I think our goal should be: 10 subscribers per video.
Sounds good to me.
So if anyone's watching and there's 1, 0, got to make that go to a 10, okay? Because it's the first video. Goal's
Uh,
10.
so subscribe.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thanks,
Okay.
Vinny. I had fun.
No, thank you. Me too. Next time I'll take more notes.
Okay. Sounds fun.
Yeah. Cool.